Hello, everybody, and welcome back to season 2, episode 17 of Mind Clickers, where it's time to click both heads into 2021. I'm joined today by Ian Millers, who is an avid esports influencer and has been working within the esports scene for about 14 years. How are you going today, mate?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
No worries. I'm really excited to, because your background predominantly is in with the Halo scene. So I'm really excited to learn about Halo and, kind of bring to light some of the past experiences that I've had and some of the things that you've had as well.
Oh, thanks, man. It's a lot of history in Halo, so I'm more than willing and happy to talk about it.
Alrighty. I guess what we'll always do is what we do on MindClick is just a bit of introduction about yourself. I guess your experience within esports and how you got started and where you are now.
All right, yeah. So let's just take it all the way back to
Let's do it.
Philly '04. So that was like my first event. I attended as a spectator, and then ever since then, I was captivated by Halo esports wise. Right, I've been playing the game since 2001. And I really got into competing. I would say around like late Halo 2, early Halo 3 stage. 2008 is when I like it's like my official start date when I really got into like the full fledged esports scene. So I started then as a competitor, transitioned to a coaching role because of outside activities outside of esports.
Hmm.
So that kind of took away some time. So it worked best for me just to come in as a coach, and then from going from coach, I moved on to like team manager roles. And then when I wasn't working directly with teams, I was doing tournament organization and production of streams. So like back in like 2012, 2013, I was part of the Arena Gaming League production
Hmm.
crew, and helping keep Halo alive from like Halo 4 until Halo 2 anniversary dropped, and that's when I kind of shift into just a team manager role. So now in the space, I'm currently serving as like advisor for people that want to build brand awareness in esports and kind of just get involved into esports. Currently, I'm in the United States Marine Corps, and I
Hmm.
work as an advisor for the Marine Corps on esports, working underneath the director of esports and gaming. And now I'm helping shift the DoD into being more active in the space of esports.
Fantastic! Wow, so definitely a lot of experience within Halo itself, and obviously those team management roles and the tournament organization. I guess you've really been in and out of the scene and really got you've pretty much hands in it the whole 14 years, and that's fantastic to hear. I guess taking it all the way back to when you were a player and a competitor during the time. Tell us about that because I remember back in the old days, watching on YouTube, the good old MLG tournaments. Just it was crazy back in those days. So what were those experiences like as a player?
It was insane. Like it was like I would say that was like the golden age of like Halo esports because
Mm.
we were front and center. We were like the FPS to be in and be involved with. At the time there was like Counter Strike Source and Call of Duty was just emerging, but like
Mhm.
Halo was like the esport for console gamers at the time, and being at those tournaments was probably some of the greatest experiences I had on land,
Mm.
because like you could literally find anyone anywhere around the world to join up with or land with. And we even like even the training back in the day, we would have massive land parties.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know who Legit is, or there's a lot of APG. Those
Mhm.
guys, we would have Tampa lands every year right before MLG Orlando, and it would be huge. Like hundreds of people would come from like Florida, Georgia, South Carolina. Like
Wow.
people would literally travel hours to come and
Yeah.
get some land experience with the pros. And I feel like being a competitor at that time really was like the like that was like the start of what FPSs are currently now.
Mhm. And
You
why
know,
do you think Halo was so successful back then? Do you think that, CS was the game for PC gamers and Halo was the game for console gamers?
yeah. So at the time, console was extremely accessible.
Yeah.
Everybody like if you like consoles were cheaper to get involved with, were less complicated, and like online gaming had just become like a thing at the time.
Mhm.
So when people figured they can get like the FPS for consoles at the time, which was Halo 2, and people like that was it was just so fresh and so new. It was like
Yeah.
it was like the category king at the time for console
Mm,
gaming, and everybody like bought a console to solely play Halo. People could take their consoles to. It was very one console, one shape, really easy to transport, easy for landing, super simple to get involved with, and then like the game itself, the mechanics were great, the gameplay was phenomenal, and it was just a fun, and it always had like real replay value.
for sure. And I guess turn to the competitive side of Halo, and during those early Halo 3 days, what did that look like in terms of game modes in regards to what was being played in that competitive sense? Because obviously in Halo there's quite a few game modes, but obviously in CS there's one primary game mode that's being played, right? And that's pretty much 5v5 playing the bomb. So what was it that took Halo that competitive state and really drove and gave that animosity?
Oh, it was because Halo presented a multitude of game types. So
Right.
like we had Slayer, Capture the Flag, Oddball. We had multiple maps. And then like at the time, Halo 2 had these weird glitches that people exploited at high level. When they exploited in high level gameplay, it
Mm,
made all the difference, and it was just entertaining. So we had button combos like BXR, BXB. Um, we knew how to exploit mechanics to do these high level plays from like flag juggling, ball juggling,
yeah.
crouch jumping. It was just thing in the map movement. Like it was just a very entertaining time for esports. When we look back at like see Counter Strike Source, like it didn't really have those mechanics. It was very pure. It was a straight shooter, and Halo had it was just a different arena game type,
Mm.
and it was just fresh.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess Halo 3 was that kind of predominantly, back on the Xbox 360. It was the game that I pretty much played, but I never actually engaged with the genre beyond Halo 3. So, beyond Halo 3, what were the big differences? And, how come were the other Halos as competitive as Halo 3 was?
So I would say Halo 3 was extremely popular, and it
Right.
and it you know it took what Halo 2 did well, and it didn't change much from it. It just it slapped a fresh coat of paint on it, and it brought it full force. So like
Yep.
it sold the most out of all the games, so it was just very popular. We had a high game player base, and there was a huge amount of tournament support behind it. Transition from Halo 3, we had Halo Reach, which was like it was complete paradigm shift in what Halo franchise normally did. They
Right.
implemented equipment for movement, armor abilities. The maps weren't as fresh. Their maps were just straight from the campaign, so it didn't have that fresh feel to it.
Mm,
And there were some certain gunplay mechanics that just didn't fit right with the community, like Bloom and just new weapons like the DMR. There was no battle rifle in Halo
yeah.
Reach, so like it just didn't sit well with a lot of people. A lot of people aren't comfortable with change, and like
Mm,
that change and the lack of developer support and the stability of the community kind of caused like a gap in the competitive side. So
mm,
we saw lower numbers than what we were used to. And at that same time, Call of Duty had brought in, they were just refreshing their franchise every 2 years.
mm,
So like it just kept their game very fresh and very new for the competitors. So from an esports standpoint, like a fresh new game that didn't change much from its predecessor, and brought different gameplay and different gun styles
yep.
to the franchise bode well for like support. So we saw a lot of our competitors leave the Halo scene and go to the Call of Duty scene, and
Mm,
like our community is notorious for it. We'll breed some of the best FPS talent across all platforms, and they'll bleed out like you look at the top Call of Duty players, Formal, Enable,
mm-hmm.
Shotzi, Hook, all Halo players. Like they're all Halo champions.
Yep.
Um, and then same thing happened like post Halo Reach, we moved on to Halo 4, and that's like circa 2012. That's when I really got involved in the production part, and did
Mm-hmm.
some casting on the back end too. So we look at like Halo 4, and it took what Halo Reach did and just built upon it. So like what was external, what was like class style armor abilities. They're like, hey, we're gonna go full force with this and let you build out your own um just own class type, similar to Call
Right.
of Duty, where you can have like certain builds, and that did just it just didn't feel as natural to like the Halo franchise as
Mm.
what was everyone starts with the same weapon and you pick up weapons off the sandbox type deal.
Yeah.
So that really didn't sit well. Um, Moving on to I think we our next game post Halo 4 was Halo 2 Anniversary.
Yep.
That was a massive opportunity to resurge a franchise,
Mhm.
but we were ultimately let down because what happened was there's a third party company, Certain Affinity. I love them to death, but like they fumbled the bag here,
Yep.
and they didn't rebuild all of the competitive maps for Halo 2 Anniversary. So we were short a bunch of maps
Right.
that could have been in rotation for the competitive scene. But what happened was we got stuck with three maps, and it got stale real fast.
Dang.
I think it was like Lockout, Sanctuary, and I forgot what the other map was,
Yep.
but it just got really stale, and the gameplay was like the gun mechanics were not the same as Halo 2, the original Halo 2.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
it didn't retain the same feel. Didn't retain the same style of gunplay. It had more of a Halo 4 feel than a Halo 2 feel,
Right.
and then the maps not being fresh kind of put it in a bad predicament as far as viewership. And esports viewership is important. That's kind
Yeah.
of how you build your relevancy. Like you can have the best game in the world, but if nobody's supporting it, then is it really a good game? And,
Mhm.
and that's where I feel like that's where we lacked a lot. Like there's a lot of good Halo out there, but it's just boring to watch.
Yeah.
You can't really get the audience involved, and the audience is going to be the people that support you through time donations, attending tournaments, stuff like that. You can't compel an audience to show why your game is fun. Then like you're no better than just turning the TV off.
Yeah.
um, and then finally moving forward to what we currently have is Halo 5 Guardians, probably the best FPS of like the last console generation. Maybe Titanfall 2 or Apex is up there, but
Yep.
Halo 5 perfected the 4v4 arena. Like it was nothing. It's something I've never seen done since like Halo CE. In Halo 5 armor abilities, for the competitive side, right? They took out
Mm.
ground pound and shoulder charge, so that was phenomenal on them to do that.
Yep.
So like they did a weapons. The game didn't come out as complete as it should have. So like they were still like sending updates almost 2 years into the game, and then like the final update in 2017 where they did weapon tuning, put the
Mm.
put the game in like this amazing state where like you could hit like this flow. So we had the best arena shooter in Halo 5, but the community just didn't like the game in general.
Right.
They didn't like that the armor ability. Nobody really liked the armor abilities. I
Mm.
wasn't against them. I actually enjoyed them. Like I loved like the
Yep.
thrust and the slide and the sprint and the
Mhm.
clamber. Like that felt natural. Like that feels how like next gen shooters should feel. Um, but like Halo 5 was probably the most competitive shooter I've ever played, and I've played a multitude of shooters throughout my years.
Yeah.
Um, it like the viewership, like observer mode, perfect. Um,
Mhm.
Viewability, amazing. Like from a viewer standpoint, audience, absolutely amazing. I think that the biggest issue was there just wasn't enough talent pool. So like
Mm.
you after a while, it's like watching like the Patriots win the Super Bowl or Ronaldo score another goal.
Yep.
It's like same old, same old.
Same
So we
as it
watch the
was.
same two teams dominate the entire scene for like 5 years straight, and it got stale real fast. Everybody's like, "Oh, I'll be back for the finals when the Sentinels play."
Dang.
So
It's really interesting. Yeah.
that's where we're at current day.
Yeah, okay. It's really interesting because you mentioned, I guess post Halo 3, a lot of the players went to COD, right? Because I think
Yep,
around that time was probably Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops
exactly.
1, Black Ops 2, and
hmm
those were big games, man.
Those
They
are
were
bangers. Like
bangers.
Modern Warfare 2, like I think outsold any shooter like it within like the next 5 years. And then Black Ops 1, probably my favorite COD of all time.
Yeah.
They like it was just a fun to play game. Like you had you had like older style weapons that like that fired exactly how they do in real life. Then you had
Hmm.
like you had a fun to play mode, Nazi Zombies, which was like done best. Like I think it was implemented in World at War, but Black Ops Nazi Zombies was like the best.
Yeah. And yeah, it's very interesting because do you think that because COD came in and made such a dominant move within the scene, there was really no going back to Halo for some of those previous COD players, previous
Yeah,
Halo players?
and and they had developer support across the board. So
Yeah.
when it came down to like throwing money down for tournaments, Activision just went in their pocket and was like, "Here's $1 million tournament. What do you need?"
Yeah.
And we didn't have that same developer support from 343 or Bungie. Bungie didn't give a crap about esports, and then 343 had a lot of corporate pushback from Microsoft in the beginning until like
Right.
Microsoft understood like esports is, even though it's 1% of gaming, it's a huge percent of like why people buy games.
For sure, definitely.
Um,
And while you're speaking about, I guess back in the old days and the tournament kind of setting, something really kind of reminisce within myself because back in those days I was pretty active on different tournaments, especially with the MW2 scene, on Cybergamer, and back then you pretty much had to create your own team, and there wasn't really an organization above you that really supported you, and nowadays you have physiotherapists on a team, you have so many different external allied health assistants to really provide that support. But back then it wasn't like that. It was just you five guys, just you make the team and you go play. So how was that experience back then when it was just I'm going to get these guys with me and we're going to go play, and we don't really have that external support.
yeah, like so like let's take it back even a step further. Like let's
Yeah.
look at like the tournament itself. So the entire like esports scene, or especially North America, was very just like riddled. It was like the Wild West back then, and it
Mm.
was riddled with like just unhealthy sponsors, bad habits. Just very it was a toxic lifestyle around gaming at the time. So
Yep.
I remember back when like Doritos was sponsoring tournaments,
Yep.
Hot Pockets, Monster Energy, Red Bull. Um,
Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew, like it was just everywhere, just a bunch of junk. And as young impressionable gamers at the time, we thought like that, like we all want to be like T Squared. T Squared he got like a multi-million-dollar Dr Pepper deal at the time, where he was
Hmm.
on every bottle of Dr Pepper, and he's probably still spending Dr Pepper money. That's like the joke, like T Squared still spending Dr Pepper money, and so like back in the day, we all thought that we needed to drink this stuff and eat this stuff to be like, to be at the level of this guy.
Yeah.
When realistically, like T Squared's drinking, water, he's sleeping healthy, he's
Hmm.
training his body, he's training his mind. And while we're over here riddling our body with like sugars and fats and, just unhealthy gaming habits, T Squared plays like maybe 4 hours a day, but he plays like with focus and purpose, and
Mm.
he evaluates his gameplay while we're over here just grinding 8 to 12 hours a day, thinking that's going to make us better at the game.
Yeah.
Like, and like it was just like this. Like we bought into like that false gamer lifestyle and that false pro gamer, like those habits, when
Mm.
that wasn't the case at all.
Was that very prevalent within, I guess, the North American scene? That
Yeah,
kind
the
of
North
that
American
unhealthy
scene, it
gamer
was,
habit.
yeah, just horrible. Like the landscape is changing right now, but
Yeah.
like God, is an uphill battle. Like we're still like dealing with like the bad sponsors, like even some of the pro teams that are sponsored by like Red Bull and Monster. They have the cans, but they're not drinking the product.
Yeah.
They're dumping that stuff out and filling it up with water. Like
Yeah.
even G Fuel, like people aren't even drinking G Fuel. The one guys that are sponsored, but they're selling off tubs of it because they need that sponsorship money.
Mm.
And
And how much of a negative stigma do you think that has upon the industry where you have, I guess, marketing, they're specifically targeting individuals like the guy you just said, and they're not even consuming the drink, or they're not even doing what they're doing, and then you're having other gamers like, some, other gamers, buying into that.
yeah, it's just it's the nature of the beast, because like
Mm.
back in the day when we weren't relevant, like all of our money came from those marketing deals. We couldn't host these hundreds of thousands of dollar tournaments, and have like this huge scene without that money from these marketing, those marketing dollars from these companies, these
Yeah.
sponsorship deals. And same thing, and it goes for a lot of these like high level pro teams. Like they need that money so they can pay the players so they can be the top tier esport team and bring
Mm-hmm.
in more revenue from tournament winnings and and eventually gain more sponsorships.
Yeah.
So like as professionals in the industry, we understand like this isn't the stuff we need, but it's the stuff we have to sell. And like we want to like eventually shift that to being able to focus on a more holistic and healthy product from like healthy medical services when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
esports, healthy like health products, healthy lifestyle in general. But like we can't, we're just in that predicament where we need to promote this lifestyle and these products to get the money that we need to survive in
Yeah.
esports. And
And yeah. And
it's getting to like a very, it's at a critical, I would say it's at a critical stage because you see a lot of like the bigger influencers are not siding with companies that don't support like what they support.
mm,
But like at the same time, it's like when you're working with an organization or a corporation, like you have to just align with what the corporation aligns with.
yeah. And I think if you don't align with those corporation goals, it's like, well, this is my opportunity to make it, right. This is my opportunity to push into the scene. This is my opportunity to, get exposure within the scene and market myself. So, in that regards, do you think there's such a pressure to take these deals and take these, marketing and sponsorship deals which don't directly align with my goals?
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to like where you personally are in your career. Like
Hmm.
a guy like Ninja, like he doesn't need the money from Red Bull, but like he's gonna take some money from Red Bull because he like it's just another. It's like he's at the point in his career where he doesn't need a Red Bull deal, but
Yeah.
Red Bull puts him in position to negotiate with other big partners in the industry. So
Hmm.
like of course he's gonna align himself with Red Bull. Like they support athletes. He doesn't have to drink a product. He has a Red Bull fridge that sits on his desk that hasn't been touched. Um, and like, but with us non-millionaire esports guys, like it's definitely a lot of pressure for us to take these deals, even though we don't
Mm,
align with them, because it's probably gonna be like it's probably gonna be the deal that pays all our bills.
yeah.
Um, and you can't, like no one in their right mind is gonna turn that down because like they understand that like they don't have to use a product, but they have to
Hmm.
support the product and they have to
Yeah.
push the product to others.
For sure. So what needs to change in that situation, do you think? Do you think it's more so a more development in terms of positive sponsors and people who are reinforcing a positive way of performing, or what needs to change?
So like right now, there's like there's a paradigm shift where we see a lot of like individuals focusing on more of a healthier lifestyle, healthier brand.
Mm,
Like you can look at the Halo 4 global champion Ace. He only like supports like healthy lifestyle brands and
right.
healthy products, and that's his personal brand. Whatever team he lands on, he doesn't like he's gonna sponsor for support that team sponsor, but like
Hmm.
as him the individual, as his personal brand, he's gonna support what he believes in. And so
Yeah.
that's where you're gonna see a lot of like that, a lot of the lines being drawn from like what they support as a team versus what they support as a individual. And
Mm,
especially being content creators, being a content creator, not just a competitor, it gives you a lot more leeway to focus on your personal brand and show people what you really believe in, so you can have two different lines of accounting when it comes to like brand management and brand awareness.
yeah, for sure. And I mean, I guess, even nowadays, the esports performance scene is just becoming so much more developed, especially when you have other regions such as the European region who are taking more of a direct approach in terms of player performance. And even here in OCE, just more external individuals getting on board organizations and providing that support for players, which at the end of the day, some of it really need.
Yeah, and I feel like the EU and the OCE like have like a bigger advantage at capturing like different style of brands and coming in
Mm,
with a different focus than what like the North American brands have,
right.
because North America is a bunch of sellouts when it comes to like corporations. Like these guys, there's going to be guys with marketing budgets like who could just throw money at esports, and a lot of people will just throw money at
Mm,
esports with like in like, hey, here, like we're gonna find the top guys, the top teams inside of the top esports, and just throw a bunch of money at them, and you'll see that.
yeah.
But like where like where like those like where all that money is in North America, is it might not be the same in like the Oceania region or like the EU. and
Mm.
those regions have a huge opportunity to capture like these like better brands for like therapeutics, I want to say orthopedics, but um, what's the word I'm looking for? Just like posture, like good
Yep.
posture
Like
brands.
ergonomics and all that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
ergonomics. There it goes. Yeah,
There
so
you
like
go.
brands that align with like gamer ergonomics,
Hmm.
and and games that align with like physical and mental health, like
Yeah.
um, companies that have that kind of alignment with the esports industry, or had the potential to even connect with the esports industry, especially like these bigger like top tier corporations like Herman Miller. When they can start aligning with like what we are doing in the gaming industry,
Mm.
I feel like that's a bigger opportunity for like our buddies like internationally to take advantage of that and bring them into esports, and then kind of force everybody to see like it can be done. Like there has to be a proof of concept showing that like uh, organizations can be sponsored off of brands that are health aware and health conscious.
For sure. It's definitely an interesting scenario where there's just so much corporative impact. And I mean, at the end of the day, you look back 5 years and it didn't really used to be as present as it was back then. Nowadays, you have, more so influencers, they have the upstart of Twitch and so much more different angles that can be approached by esports. And it's definitely interesting to see where it's going to go within the next 5 years as well.
Exactly, and like we see it right now. Like I think because of like these companies are owned by bigger proprietary corporations,
Mm,
it'll probably be easier to get them involved. So like let's look at Monster Energy, right?
yeah.
Monster Energy is owned by the Coca-Cola Corporation. Coca-Cola also owns Dasani Water and Powerade.
Mm,
Why haven't we had like Powerade in esports yet? Like like
yeah.
that's a better angle to take than like
Yeah.
let's focus on Monster Energy. I'm pretty sure you could sell Powerade more Powerade because it's cheaper and it's better for you, and it has
Hmm.
known benefits for providing rehydration, electrolyte, and helps you focus.
Yeah.
So when we focus on like the like when we focus on the performance element in esports, I feel like we if we take a healthier approach to performance in esports, that's a better way to target the audience than to look at like you know this unhealth like when we drink Monster, we know we know it's not good for us. We drink it
Hmm.
because we need that instant energy.
Yeah.
Well, let's focus on like longevity in esports. Like,
Yeah.
do you want to be doing this for a long run? Like,
Yeah.
there's no age limit to esports. I've seen 40-year-old competitors beat like like these top tier competitors. So like
Hmm.
when we focus on like that longevity in esports and a healthier lifestyle overall, I feel
Yeah.
like that's a better approach to take than like this drink Monster, you get this instant energy, instant win. Like that's not the
Yeah.
angle we should be looking at.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with you. I think longevity is one of the biggest things that impacts an esports player's career because, especially for some of these players who are trying to take the quick fixes, like, as you mentioned, having a monster, they're not doing exercises, their sleep schedule's poor, and they're
Exactly.
not even doing hand stretches before a game. So even that itself can, have the opportunity for, ongoing joint problems and carpal tunnel. And there's so many different routes and domains that can impact an esports player's career. And I mean, that's why we see some players in the Asian leagues retiring at 25.
Yeah.
Uh, we see so many people starting to retire early when it should be the opposite. Where nowadays we have so much avenues, we have so many different angles that we can take for esports performance, and they should really be starting to incorporate it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's crazy to me to see like these top tier professionals, especially like League of Legend players, and
Yeah,
like they're like my body can't take it anymore. I was
exactly.
like, where are your coaches at? Like, what's going on in your organization? Like, your coaches
Mm,
should be the main reason why you feel refreshed after every match. While you should, and that's the thing too. It's like like at a coach when I was a coach, we didn't just coach in Halo. We coached in like
hmm.
performance. I focused on overall performance. So like we did, we did nutrition plans, we did exercises, and we did stretches and breathing exercises before
Mm,
matches, and like that alone helped them be focused mentally and physically. So like people don't understand like it's a holistic concept. Like when you're
100%.
not just using your body, you're using your mind, your body, and your spirit. Like you're communicating with each other. You keeping like the esprit de corps high within the team, and like you're using hand-eye coordination, like advanced tactics, communication, and overall just competitiveness to win
Mm,
games. And people don't understand that. Like it's a lot involved into just running a team. And then
yeah.
people that run multiple teams, like they have their hands full.
Yeah. Yeah, 100% agree. Definitely, definitely, I can relate to some of those things, especially as a part of the Renegades. Definitely, some of those factors I incorporate as a performance coach, and it's crucial to have a holistic vision and an outlook and everything. To account towards player nutrition, hand stretches, sleep. All those kind of holistic pillars of performance, right? But then also making sure that. Internally, the players are, have that underlying motivation to compete at the elite level, whether that be self confidence, mental toughness, motivation, within that kind of scene. It's definitely crucial, and it's definitely interesting to see, whether the differences lay, because definitely over here in OCE, us as a region, the biggest impacts that we have is that we don't have enough resources. So, probably the direct opposite of somewhere like North America, where they have tons of resources that can be invested within the scene. But definitely over here in OCE, the resources aren't as abundant. And because they're not as abundant, player performance isn't really being directly targeted. It's more so, just try and get players on a team and try and incorporate into that vision. So it's definitely going to be, interesting to see where it does go in the next 5 years for sure.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It's like because like our regions are so disconnected from each other,
Mm,
we're not approaching esports the same. It's
yeah.
like North America took like this. We kind of just like threw ourselves all in at it, and then kind of figured it out as we go. While like
Hmm.
other regions, like they're looking at what North America is doing. It's like, hey, we're gonna take this, and that, and apply it to our region.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's sometimes they miss out on like the intricacies, like what you're doing right now is performance coaching. Like
Hmm.
that is probably one of the more important parts of like esports in general, because
Yep.
a lot of these coaches, they only coach in the game. They don't coach outside the
Hmm.
game. Like you have to coach in the physical space as well as in the digital space. And if you don't, because if you only coach in one, you're missing a completely like other side of like the esport.
Yeah.
Like there's electronics and there's sports. It's like they both have to work together in synergy. And if you don't
Yep.
focus on both, then like you're missing out on the whole picture.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it very much goes towards the same as traditional sports, right? You have athletes who are pushing to the skill boundaries of what they're capable of doing, similar to in-game mechanics in esports. But it gets to a point where everyone really does get to the same mechanical level. And what's going to separate yourself from everyone else is your approach to external performance, your approach to sleep, exercise, all those kind of things is what's going to separate you and give you that couple extra percent edge. And sometimes that's all you need, that extra couple of percent.
Exactly. And
Sure.
like I'm seeing that like in my esport in particular, it's
Hmm.
happening at the professional level. So we don't see like the up and coming trying to approach it holistically. We see them just kind of approaching it like a bull in a china shop, just rush in, you know, focus on the game, destroy everybody, and hopefully we can make it into the pro league. Well,
Mm,
I'm like, well, you have to approach this holistically, or you're gonna burn out.
yep.
And I've seen it happen a million times over and over again. People that don't take a holistic approach to the game are going to burn out, and they're not going to have a good time. They're probably going to destroy relationships along the way,
Hmm.
and they're not going to be successful for long term.
Sure.
And a lot of like the current professionals have all like have some sort of holistic approach to being successful in the esport, and
Hmm.
that has made a world of difference from from their quality of life personally, and then the quality of life of others around them when supporting them and helping them get to the level they need to be at.
For sure. 100%. Definitely agree. Um, so yeah, you mentioned earlier that you were in that as a player, then you transitioned to a coach. So back in the day, was there many coaches similar to like yourself who had that holistic outlet, or was it more so just all game coaches?
Most of them were just all game coaches, so like
Yeah.
like I feel like I was a real trailblazer when it came to like doing that in the Halo space, because I was an athlete before I transitioned to esports, so like I
Hmm.
knew like there was a level of mental toughness and like just grit, determination, teamwork, and just esprit de corps, just keeping the team in good spirits. Right, I knew
Yeah.
that all that mattered. It all meant something. It was tangible to a certain degree, and like and like taking that belief and taking those experiences and applying those to the Halo esports, like I felt like that made a huge difference, in especially these games where my team was either, you know, outmatched, and
Hmm.
or just in, really in those really close matches, keeping that team focused and just keeping them engaged, physically, mentally, emotionally, and like tactically into like the game.
Yeah.
So historically speaking, like a lot of Halo players, like a lot of coaches, they keep times, and of like weapon spawns. They help with
Oh,
call
right.
outs and stuff.
Yeah.
They argue on behalf of the players to tournament TOs and
Hmm.
refs and stuff like that, but they never really focus on the like
Wow.
performance side.
Yeah.
There's some that focus on like watching film after the games and after scrimmages and stuff like
Yep.
that, but like that's expected of a coach. Nobody really focused on like the performance evaluation and like in-game performances of their players.
Mm. The player actually playing the game. Definitely. And then you mentioned briefly you went into that kind of tournament organization role, and you got involved within that space. So what did that look like, and how was that kind of approached?
So I spent like a short time as a TO,
Okay.
and it definitely wasn't a pleasurable experience because like it was a lot of paperwork and a lot of arguing.
Really?
Yeah, players love to argue like about seedings that they don't rate or that they
Oh,
believe that they
I
rate,
gotcha.
and they don't have to like the substantiate records, for those seedings.
Yeah.
There's a lot of disputes with matches at the lower level. When you get to like main bracket play, like all that kind of goes away. But like getting people into the bracket play, like that was, especially when back in the day when Halo 3 had like 256 teams, like
Hmm.
so
Dang.
yeah, we're talking about like everyone arguing about everything, paperwork getting messed up, scores getting reported incorrectly, stats getting
Wow.
uploaded before like they were certified, stuff like that. And
Hmm.
it was a very frustrating experience. But it was a growing experience, a learning experience. So I took everything I learned from that and kind of helped me transition to being like a team manager.
Mm. Fantastic. Yeah, because even just thinking about tournament organization, I'm just thinking like, what if a team doesn't rock up and that kind of completely offsets the schedule, or what? Yeah, it's definitely a lot that goes into
Yeah,
it that you actually just raised it, and I actually didn't think about for sure.
yeah, and then like just knowing the rule books. Oh God, like I was like, hey, like this is in the rule. This is in black and white. Your team didn't comply, so you're disqualified. And they want to argue with me, and they try to fight. It was bad.
Really?
Yeah, I just get it was a lot of headaches, but people learn to respect you when you stand your ground, especially in
Hmm.
that space. And like I feel like those guys are probably the most underappreciated people at lands because like
Yeah.
they do all the groundwork to make sure the land is running smoothly.
Yeah.
And
So was it?
players play and compete, but like those TOs make sure like things like lands don't get held up, run late, and people you get to where they need to go, and like the broadcast happens as smooth as possible.
Yeah. So was there satisfaction in getting through a successful one?
Uh More like relief.
Relief.
Yeah, like you make it to championship Sunday, and it's like, whew, like made it finally. I like the Fridays, sometimes Thursdays are usually like the hectic days because like a lot of teams,
Yeah.
a lot of paperwork. Now like, now it's pretty simple. Everything's done on like the tournament like websites and stuff, so it's
Yeah.
extremely simple. But
Yeah.
like back when like we were just like kind of marking stuff on paper, had big whiteboards and stuff, like that was a headache.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess the next kind of step, you mentioned briefly you entered that team manager role. So was that with an organization, or what did that look like?
Yeah, there was a couple startup orgs. I don't think they're around anymore. I think the
Okay.
most recent one I worked with was like 2016, 2017, Virtual
Mm.
Storm. And they did some pretty good stuff in the Halo scene.
Yep.
They had a couple teams make top 8, top 16, and it was good because like it helped expand what I understood from Halo into
Mm.
other esports. So like I got to work with Tekken and Smash,
Wow.
some League of Legends, and a little bit of I think we did Overwatch. We might have done Overwatch, but
Hmm.
it helped me like kind of expand my horizon on like what like working with brands,
Mm,
working with partners,
mm,
understanding how different teams operate across multiple esports, and just really taking all of that and then using the experience that I already had and kind of help leveraging my experiences and being in a new esport to build more legitimacy, advocate for players, and just
mhm.
kind of fight for our fair share when it came to like just being seated properly in tournaments,
Yeah.
being able to compete, and making sure that these teams actually did their jobs and showed up to tournaments, got to
Yeah, for sure.
purchase, working with buying tickets across different time zones is kind of weird at times,
Yeah.
but like kind of I had to figure it out.
Yeah, for sure. So, so you still in that kind of team manager role? Have you, or have you past that now?
I'm past that. So like right
Yep.
now I'm working as an advisor with a startup
Mhm.
company. We're about to
Okay.
launch in August. I can't talk too much about it, but it's going to be
Okay.
pretty exciting stuff. Looking to change the landscape of what we do in esports as far as performance. Um, and then I'm working with the United States Marine Corps,
Mm.
building out their esports program. So
Wow.
I'm currently an active duty Marine, and I'm working with our director of esports and gaming to build out our program because we're starting everything from scratch, and we're trying to
Wow.
build this to be the most cost effective, efficient, and just like lethal esports team that the DoD has to offer. Currently, there are 4 other esports teams that are competing across the services. So they have U.S. Army Esports,
Wow.
U.S. Navy Esports, Air Force Gaming, and then Coast Guard Esports. So we're trying to be the best, and
Wow.
we're bringing like the most elite players that we have across the service to compete in different games.
Wow, that's fascinating. I never knew that existed. Wow. That's awesome. So so how did that all start? Who kind of said, "Okay, let's start to think about esports and let's start to incorporate it in something we should do?"
So I actually stumbled across the director of esports and gaming for the Marine Corps
Yeah.
because he followed me on Twitter, and
Uh-huh.
he's a huge Halo fan and just really wanted to get a pulse on the Halo community. So we kind of linked up from there, and he was telling me about his initiative to build out esports for the entire service,
Mm.
and I started working with him and advising him on what we should do and who to
Mm.
work with and stuff to that nature. And now we're kind of working together in a unofficial official capacity to
Mhm.
build out what the future of esports for the DoD was going to be.
Wow, for sure. And I guess, all your background experience as a player, as a coach, as a TO, as a manager, that all directly aligns into, I guess, what they're trying to build out, right?
Exactly. So like I had this unique path through esports, and
Yeah,
it kind of just organically landed me at what I'm doing now. And it's exciting, challenging for sure, but the future is bright for that, and I'm really excited to just like launch a program and send the best that we have at it.
for sure. So does that look like, I guess, you mentioned like the Marine, the US Navy. So is that more so a tournament just specifically for those guys and they essentially just verse each other?
So not necessarily. Eventually, that on certain occasions when
Hmm.
we're for like recruiting purposes, we'll do that, or for certain occasions when like the academies have like sports games against each other, we'll have
Right.
esports exhibitions, and we'll kind of fill those teams out there. What we see the future of this is having full fledged teams to compete at the professional level
Oh,
in
wow.
the top esports. Currently, the armies and the air force are like the top two that are really spearheading that part of it. We're looking to get involved also. More likely starting with Halo Infinite.
Mm.
Um, right now, we're building a Valorant team. Uh, we're building that from scratch. So that's finding the best players across a service of 180,000 is pretty tough
Mm.
because first it requires awareness, and then second it requires vetting. Third, we need to actually put these guys to the burner and see if they're worth their medal.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess how do you screen those players to see whether they're going to meet the cut of on being on the team or not?
Um, Ideally, we want to look at their performance across the game already, since Valorant
Right.
has a rank system.
Yep.
We don't. I really don't like to judge players off of rank because player dynamics are unique. But like in a game this new, rank actually is going to matter. So
Hmm.
we're going to look at the ranks in the rank playlist, and then see if they mesh well together. If they, if the five players don't mesh well, then hopefully we can find another player that will work with them.
Yep.
But eventually, give it some time. The Marine Corps always makes mission.
Yeah, for sure. That makes me really excited to think about that because, I think the biggest problem within esports now is, I guess, as we pretty much talked about for a good quite bit, is that external performance, looking at your sleep, looking at your nutrition, hydration. But I feel like the Marine Corps has that completely all ticked off, right?
Exactly. So like,
Yeah.
and the thing is, like, I was on the All Marine wrestling team prior. So
Wow.
like, I competed in wrestling for the Marine Corps, and we were provided with like the best nutritionists, athletic trainers.
Mm.
We went through. We had I wouldn't call them mental health, but I would say more like brain health. So cognitive
Yep.
performance trainers,
Yep.
and we had those already at our hand and at our fingertips, and now we're going to apply we're going to take these same resources and give them to esports athletes, and then send them and have them at their best, and and have them physically at their best, and mentally ready so they can compete at a high level
Mm.
against professional esports athletes.
Yeah.
And not only will like they be on a team, these Marines are already going to be getting paid full time. Their travel
Mm.
is going to be taken care of. Their meals and lodging will always be taken care of. So you're getting the same services that tier one organizations are getting, but you're getting it through the Department of Defense.
Yeah. That's fantastic. I actually, yeah, this is completely new to me. And how long has this been in production or been thought about?
So right now, for the Marine Corps, it's in its infancy.
Okay.
I believe the Air Force is in their like second year. The Army is in their second or
Wow.
third year with it, and I think COVID kind of threw a wrench in everybody's plans as
Yeah.
far as what we wanted to do in esports. But we're looking at having a big showcase here post COVID, and we want to be able to show that, like, not only can you serve your country in a professional manner, but you can
Mm.
also have fun while doing it. And the esports is going to be like that fun factor. So like, these Marines, they get deployed all the time, like
Mm.
whether it's on shipborne deployments where they're stuck at sea for 6 to 9 months, or
Yeah.
in a hostile foreign environment for
Hmm.
6 to 12 months. Um, we want to give back to those those Marines that put their life on the line, and be able to provide them with opportunities to serve in a different capacity.
Yeah.
So like esports is one of those those unique um, jobs that you can do in the service, and it
Mm.
won't be it won't be like a full time job. It'll be more like, hey, you can be a part of this for X amount of time, and
Yeah.
then once you serve that, you have to return back to the Fleet Marine Force to do your job.
Mm.
Ideally, that's where we wanted that. We can't really afford to advertise the Marine Corps as an organization that fully sponsors esports,
Yeah.
but we want to be able to provide the opportunity for Marine to do unique things outside of the scope of their normal jobs.
Mm, for sure. That's fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic. And I guess in that downtime you talked about, when they're out at sea or whether they're internationally, is that when they can get opportunities to practice, or how does that kind of practice environment start to formulate?
Oh, so when they're deployed, there's probably not going to be much time to practice, because
Yeah.
usually these guys are doing missions, running through combat scenarios,
Mm-hmm.
doing some type of training exercise. I uniquely remember my last deployment. I was in a desert in the middle of like nowhere in the Middle East, and
Yeah.
I had a games case, and that was like kind of my like when my shift was over, I'll open my games case, I'll pop in Halo or Overwatch, and then I'll just play for a few hours, just kind of de-stress and relax, and that was like my
Wow.
end of day, like kind of like gaming session.
Yeah.
I really didn't focus on esports. It was more like, hey, like this is my way to connect to like some of the things back at home that I normally wouldn't have.
Wow. Fantastic. That's amazing to hear. And I can definitely see the passion, as you speak about it, what this could become, and definitely, what it's been building upon. So I think that's absolutely fantastic, to be honest.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Like I'm looking forward to hopefully fielding a team sometime this fall, and
Mm.
preferably I will hope that like we could focus on Halo because it's going to be a new launch.
Let's go. Yeah.
But we'll see what the landscape is kind of speaking to.
Mm.
Because like today, what Knockout City just got released. We don't know if that's going to be like the next Fortnite or not. I don't believe so, but
Mhm.
like if that's what the people want, then that's what we'll showcase to them.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
ideally, we want to be where the audience is.
Yeah, I think that's crucial. And do other tier one esports organizations like your Hundred Thieves, your Faves, TSM, Cloud9, do they all know about what the army and what the US, I guess, Defense Force is building? Do they know about this kind of system?
Yeah, so some because like from like a high level, we work with these tier one organizations.
Right.
Sometimes around like veteran related holidays like Veterans Day,
I gotcha.
Memorial Day, stuff like that, to kind
Yeah.
of build awareness of like some of the troops that put their lives on the line and the ones that have already made that ultimate sacrifice. And
Mm-hmm.
there's some veterans that work in that work in these tier one organizations that kind of they work as like the liaison between the Department of Defense and like their organization. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but like we've worked with like tier one esports teams, top like high level streamers. Like we recently just released a video, I think yesterday or today, where we brought in um, four of the top streamers across multiple esports and had them like do all of our combat training with the Marines, and we showed them how to breach walls, clear houses,
Yeah.
and do like real combat related exercises. And it kind of and it like as a Marine Corps, we personally don't want to like take away like that like the real mission that we actually do every day away
Mm.
from because we want to involve ourselves in esports, but we don't want to take away the reality of what we do and
Yeah.
the danger of like what involves becoming a Marine and being a Marine is about.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we're kind of approaching it differently than what the rest of the DoD is.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess whilst you just talked about that, I was just thinking, something like Rainbow Six Siege, where you is that kind of combat scenario, you are breaching walls, you are strategically planning. Would that be something that they'd be looking at?
So like we're kind of taking when like integrating ourselves into esports. Right now we're focusing on influencer marketing relations, so that's
Right.
just working with high level influencers, showing them what it's like to be a Marine, and
Gotcha.
then having them speak with their community about their experiences with the Marines, from like our professionalism, our our tactical
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle, and just the technicalities that come with being a Marine.
Yeah.
So like that's been a big part of what we're trying to do. We're kind of working on like an evangelistic approach versus like, hey, like we're the Marine Corps and we do esports. Like that's not what we do. We're
Mm-hmm.
Marine Corps and we win America's battles.
Yeah.
But here's how that kind of ties into esports.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. And I guess just before we start to wrap up soon, obviously Halo being in that kind of militaristic kind of environment, that kind of, Halo, what Halo is originally, does that connect with you personally?
Oh yeah, it was actually probably one of the influential reasons I like chose this branch over like any other branch of the military.
Gotcha.
Like so like from like Halo's relationship with like Marines, like Master Chief's always with the Marines.
Yeah.
Like the Marines in Halo were like the coolest people in the world, like from their dialogue to their appearance to like their tenacity and their grit in game, and even reading the extended media like the lore and stuff. Like
Hmm.
these guys were some of the toughest mofo's that the UNSC had. So like
Yeah.
that was really cool. And my favorite character of all time in the Halo series is Sergeant Major Avery Johnson Jr.
Yeah.
He was like the coolest guy ever, and like being little old me growing up, seeing that guy, like I wanted to be like that. I wanted to be like Sergeant Johnson. Like he was just a badass,
Yeah.
and like that kind of really that resonated with me. And when I actually got to meet other Marines before I joined, like they kind of already like what Halo took from what Halo already had in their game, they took from the actual U.S. Marines. So like it all resonated with me because like it was everything went full circle.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
like that was like a a big influential part of me joining.
Yeah, for sure. That's fantastic. I really appreciate you sharing that. I think that's fantastic. That kind of connection you made with the game, and then with obviously the defense force as well. And one thing that I noticed recently was this whole idea of Halo Infinite. And where do you think that's going to go? Do you think that's going to make a big return for Halo and be going to be impactful for the series and the brand?
So I believe so because like it's going to be a 10-year platform.
Right.
Halo Infinite is set to be the biggest investment in esports that 343 has ever done.
Wow.
They're working exclusively with Adam AP, who started MLG back in the day, and has now
Mm,
started his own esports company called Esports Engine. Where they're taking they pretty much took all the core people from MLG, took all of their values, and they created their own company out of it because MLG was bought off by Activision some years ago,
yep.
and they can't touch it anymore. So now he's like taking everything that he has learned throughout his years in the industry and bringing it full swing back to Halo. And Adam he has a soft spot in his heart for Halo, and he's very passionate about it because without
Hmm.
Halo, there wouldn't be there wouldn't be an MLG, there wouldn't be an Adam AP. Like
Yep.
he wouldn't be here without Halo. So like he's already compelled to make this like the top tier esport again. And with the investment from 343 Industries and Microsoft and our outside sponsors that are coming into the industry, I'm not going to speak on this potential sponsor that 343 has, but
Hmm.
uh, there's a big sponsor that's coming with them, along with their parent company, Microsoft. And I feel like it's going to be like a fantastic decade for Halo.
Yeah, for sure. It's gonna be really interesting to see whether or not I guess they can really be competitive at the top of the food chain with the other big boys, CS:GO, Valorant, League of Legends, where they can really make a big impact within the scene and start to definitely shine through again.
Yeah, I believe that like like because Halo is now going to be free to play and
Right.
on PC from day one, like the multiplayer alone is going to be an insane ecosystem
Mm,
to be a part of. Um, the free to play aspect allows people to, at no risk, experience the Halo Infinite multiplayer. With the support from the developers and the increased size in the sandbox and weapon options, that gives like a unlimited potential for what it can be competitively.
mm.
And then in the hands of Adam, I believe like he's going to be like he's gonna be like the shepherd of Halo esports and and just guide them to the right path.
Fantastic. And I think I briefly saw you tweet or something, or I saw something somewhere about a battle royale and a BR. So do you think that's going to be coming Taylor Infinite? Is that confirmed or is that just speculation?
It's a lot of speculation, but like,
Gotcha.
if we base it off of current industry trends,
Yeah.
a lot of free to play multiplayer games are coming with battle royale.
Hmm.
Halo Infinite has a large sandbox that's scalable for battle royale.
Hmm.
They already have the mechanics and components that a battle royale requires and needs to be successful,
Yep.
and they have multiple developers working across the industry that have
Hmm.
already built battle royales. Um, I believe that if Halo Infinite implements a battle royale, it would be a game changer for the entire franchise
Yep.
because all the battle royale streamers, the top tier players of battle royale, they have all been prior Halo players and would love to have a Halo Infinite battle royale, and that not only the increase in visibility, the free to play playability of the game is going to change the way this game launches, and I feel like because it's a platform, there's a long term sustainability of it.
Right. For sure. Definitely. Fantastic. It's definitely going to be exciting to see for sure. And do you know when that's going to be released, or that they haven't really done a release date yet?
E3 is coming up here in the next few
Oh
weeks.
yeah.
I'm I'm gonna go with November 15th, the 20-year anniversary of Halo. But
Right.
if we let me look at my calendar real quick. We noticed that every Halo either launches on a Thursday or a Tuesday. So if we go to
Really.
yeah, if we go to Halo for November, and we go to I see a ninth and 11th. So maybe the night of the 15th. Maybe the 15th, the night of, because it's a Monday.
Gotcha.
So we might get like a close to midnight launch.
Wow.
You guys in Oceania probably going to be the first people to touch it. Maybe Guam, who knows?
Yep.
So we'll see. And
We'll see.
you could preload it on your PC and Xbox. So
Okay, awesome, definitely. I guess just as we wrap up, we have a lot on Mind Clickers. We've got a lot of youth who are listening who really want to, I guess, take their approach to esports to the next level. We've got a lot of, I guess, amateurs, semi-pros, even professionals listening in, who really just trying to listen, extract different bits and pieces that they can add on their game. So if you had some advice for any of those listening who are really looking to really push into the esports professional scene, what would you tell them, and how would you tell them to approach it?
um, take care of your mind and take care of your body.
Hmm.
I like a lot of gamers get caught up in like the game. I promise you, the game's gonna change no matter what game it is. So you're not gonna play the same game for the rest of your life. But
Hmm.
you will have the same body and you will have the same mind, and those two things need to be taken care of. From your brain health, how you perform, how you like put in nutrition, how you feed your brain, and how you think about the game needs to always be worked on, and then your body physically, staying in shape. You don't have to be the most fit person, but get outside and exercise. Do something. Walk, go on a run, go to the gym, uh, eat healthier foods. Like you can make conscious, healthy decisions that will affect your body for the long term. Because
Hmm.
if you want to be in esports and you want to be here long term, you have to think long term. Um, you have to you put down the Red Bull, put down the Monster, put down the G Fuel, drink water, focus on um, meditation exercises, stuff like that, and focus on performance. Ergonomics are important. Don't go buy the racing chair. Go get you a legitimate office chair. Go get you something that puts your posture at the right thing. Especially if you're playing keyboard and mouse, really focus on your posture because bad posture will put you in carpal tunnel and you'll be done. That'd be a very short career. Uh, and then and when don't spend all your time gaming. Take dedicated time for reviewing your gameplay. Record your gameplay, review it, have someone else review it, like a fresh set of eyes, and then don't be afraid of constructive criticism. All right, if somebody tells you you suck, ask them why. Um, and don't sign any contracts without looking at it, without having someone else read it over. I've seen a lot of
And
players get put in bad contracts, especially day of tournament.
fantastic.
God,
Really, really spoken like someone's really passionate about the scene, and it definitely shows. And I mean, you really pretty much are an esports veteran, and it's really fantastic for you to share some of those insights that I'm sure a lot of players up and coming or already high up in the scene can take and definitely take into consideration. And I really appreciate that, Ian, for sure.
no, thank you for having me, and don't and for players out there doubting yourself, questioning yourself. Look, you don't have to be a player to be in esports. I remember you don't have to be like a competitor. Esports is an industry. With industry,
Hmm.
there are other jobs in esports you can do. Find what you're good at and be good at it. All right, be the best. Sell yourself. Put yourselves in that uncomfortable situation where you have to learn and you have to get better and you have to step your game up.
If that's not motivation, then I don't know what is, man. Awesome. For everyone listening, where can we find you on your socials, or where can we get in contact with you? Find out more about you.
All right. So you can find me on LinkedIn at
Hmm.
Ian Mills. You can find me on Twitter at Esports Ian. And you can find me on Discord at Esports Ian 6109.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Ian, for coming on. And yeah, I think it was a fantastic chat. Really, I guess, coming into it with that kind of Halo mindset and then exploring some other different topics in regards to the marketing and performance side of stuff, which I think is conversations that should be had consistently. And then really shining some light on, what everything that the Defense Force is doing. And that was fantastic to really hear about and to explore that as well. So I really appreciate coming on and spending some time for a chat. And yeah, thank you very much for coming on.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Catch you later.
You too.